The Journey Project by DeMarko Reddins. Narrated by DeMarko Reddins.
The Journey Project, DeMarko Reddins. Part 1, Hurricane Season. August 29th, 2005, Biloxi, Mississippi. It is Monday. The time is 8:08 a.m. I am supposed to be in school, but it has been canceled due to the weather. Myself and the rest of my immediate family are at great-grandma's house. My brother Darius is 15, Devon is 6, and I'm 9 years old. We are watching a basketball game in great-grandma's bedroom. Great-grandma is currently visiting another tribal member's home in Memphis. At halftime, I take a quick look out the window. It is sunny with clear skies, and no one is outside. So I go back to watching TV. Out of the blue, I hear a loud crack of thunder and rapid rainfall. I began walking to the living room to find out what my sister Asia, who is 12, Mom, and Grandma are doing. The game is coming back on, Marko, Darius cautions as I am leaving the bedroom. Upon entering the room, I see Asia sitting at the dining table, while Grandma and Mom's attention is on the TV. I watched the Weather Channel with Grandma and Mom for about 10 minutes. When it goes on commercial, Mom walks to the front porch to get a closer look at her car that is parked on the curb. I walk back to great-grandma's bedroom and continue watching basketball with Devon and Darius. Some time goes by, and then I hear Grandma clattering around in the kitchen. So I go to the kitchen to join Grandma and see what she is doing. "Marko, can you set the dining table?" Grandma directed as she finished preparing the meal. There's a stepping ladder in the corner. Use that to get the plates and cups out of the cabinet. I grab the stool and position it in front of the china cabinet. Then I go to the silverware drawer to get forks, spoons, and knives. After Grandma's finished cooking, everyone gathers around the table. The family enthusiastically devours their breakfast except for Mom. She seems to have something else on her mind. She leaves the dining table between every other bite to go to the living room. Then Mom comes in and sits back down. I finish off my glass of orange juice, and under the pretense of leaving the table to get a refill, I slip into the living room. I part the curtains, and the first thing to catch my eye are the tires on Mom's Honda. They are completely submerged in rainwater. I retreat from the window and hurry to refill my glass of orange juice. I began wondering what is going on as I am refilling my glass. How is the water rising so quickly? I go back to the dining table, eat the rest of my pancake, and drink my glass of orange juice. Then I take my plate and cup to the kitchen. Subsequently, I head back to great grandma's bedroom. The basketball game is now in the fourth quarter. I wonder if there are any more games coming on after this one, Darius remarks. Mom suddenly calls out, "Hey boys, come into the living room." When we get there, we see Asia, Grandma, and Mom staring at the floorboards. The neat and organized living room is now on a float, with water flooding in rapidly. "I want all of us to stand on the sofa," Mom says in a level tone. Everyone does as she says. No more than 30 seconds pass before Grandma turns to us with an earnest look. "The water is getting too high. Let's go to my mom's bedroom and stand on her California king-size bed." Asia and I get to great grandma's bedroom first. Everyone else is still making their way in from the hallway. I attempt to lift myself up onto the bed like I've done earlier. With a few feet of water beneath me, it is a lot harder to get a good grip off the ground. Asia notices that I'm struggling and pushes me up. Suddenly, Mom's voice can be heard in the hallway. "Asia, bring me my purse from your great-grandma's bedroom," she says with an urgent tone. "Coming, Mom," Asia yells back. Asia turns back to me. "Stay on top of the bed, Marko." I move toward a wall near a corner of the room as Asia leaves. I maneuver closer to the window and look out like I did when I checked the weather just 2.5 hours ago. I hear a single voice yelling. I look back at the bedroom door. Everyone has gone back down the hallway. I move carefully to the edge of the bed to see if the screams are coming from anyone in the house. Then I hear the voice again and realize it is coming from outside. "Hello? Can anyone hear me? Please. Oh my God," the woman voice cries out. The next thing I know, Darius enters the room. "Climb onto my back, Marko. We have to go into the kitchen." By the time we exit great grandma's bedroom, the water must have been 5 feet high. Darius and I proceed to the kitchen, and Mom is dialing 911 on her cell phone. The call is answered on the first ring. A voice can be heard on the receiver. "We are experiencing a high call volume. Please try your call again," the 911 automated message says. Mom hangs up the phone, waits a few seconds, then redials 911. The phone rings a number of times before someone picks up. "My family and I need help. Can you send?" The 911 operator interrupts. Wait, before you give us your information. Our station is undertaking a lot of water, ma'am. I cannot send anyone. I'm sorry. Goodbye." After Mom presses the end button on the call, everyone starts to realize the dire situation we are in. If we continue to sit here and not do anything, we are going to die, Mom warns us. Everyone except Mom is still processing the situation. I began looking for jars or something to store the water. Almost instantly, I realized there is just too much water. I look up at the ceiling and shout, "God, please give us a miracle." "I'm going to bust the window out. We are not dying here," Mom replies in an effort to reassure everyone. Mom begins looking for a cloth to wrap her knuckles. I do not see any rags in sight, Grandma interjects. Mom stops searching almost immediately and punches through the window with her bare hands. Then she begins removing the remaining glass from the window frame. We go through the kitchen window one by one, starting with Grandma. Everyone is dog paddling as the water continuously floods ashore. I am wearing boxers and no t-shirt, so I'm freezing. We are going to climb to the top of the roof, Mom informs us. Darius is the first to pull himself up. His left knee gets caught in his shirt midway and he loses his grip, falling into the water. Grandma reaches out to grab Darius, but with the momentum of him falling backwards, causes Grandma to lose her grip too. Neither one of them are visible to Devon, Asia, Mom, and I. We search the water to see which way they could have potentially gone. Out of nowhere, Darius and Grandma reappear from out of the water. Darius holds Grandma up and starts swimming towards us. Mom and Darius lock arms until they get back to the roof. Everyone gets out of the water and walks to the top of the roof. The salt from the water is hitting us more often, Grandma points out. It is going to be impossible to hang up here until help comes, Mom adds. Angela, look over there. Do you see the torn piece of roof flapping? Before Mom could answer, Grandma begins crawling down the roof to the flapping area. Be careful, it is really wet, Mom shouts. Grandma makes it to the area successfully and pulls the torn piece away from the roof. I am looking at the attic. We can sit here until help arrives, she advises, and then heads down. Each of us move from the top of the floor and squeeze into the small opening. A few hours go by and the hunger pains begin. Do you have any candy in your purse? Devon asks. Mom finds a roll of mint Mentos and passes them out. It is going on 5 hours and there are no sign of help. Asia groans. Does anyone else hear the sound of helicopter blades in the distance? Mom asks. After some time, the noise of a helicopter disappears. That sound must have been a tornado going down, Grandma says, with an effort to sound reassuring. Hour after hour passes, and the water gradually lowers. Finally, we hear a man's voice nearby. Hello? Is anybody in this house? He yells. Yes, we are up on the roof, Grandma shouts back. I will catch you guys, the man declares. Mom jumps first, then the rest of us follow. I get on Darius's back, and Devon is on Mom's back because the water is too tall. Thank you for your help, sir. We have been in the attic since this morning, Grandma says with a note of relief.
Chapter 2. Revival.
Darius, Asia, Devon, Mom, Grandma, and I walk to the train tracks that are at the end of Great Grandma Street. When we get to the train tracks, we notice a woman walking towards us. Did all of your family members make it out alive? The woman asks. Yes, we did, but our house is in ruins, Mom explains. Did all of your family members make it out alive? Grandma asks. My family and I were at the church down the street during the storm. You can go there if your house suffers damages. the woman suggests. Thank you so much, Mom replies. When we get to the church, we locate the pastor. We met a woman on the train tracks that told us to come here, Grandma tells him. You are welcome to stay at the church for shelter, says the pastor encouragingly. We all sit at a long brown dining room table. 2 men stroll through the church doors with 2 big bags. They empty bags of canned vegetables, a variety of chips, bottled water, and other canned food onto the table. The 2 men leave the food behind and give a nod of respect to the pastor as they walk out of the church. We eat alongside the other survivors. For us, this is our first time eating since breakfast. Marko, before the sun goes down, Grandma and I are going to see if we can find you some clothes at Great Grandma's house. Mom notices that I'm still only in my boxers. Grandma and Mom return with a large white t-shirt and a large pair of sweatpants for me. Night comes around and we are sleeping in wooden chairs around a table. I sleep for a while before waking up in the middle of the night. I need to use the bathroom, but all the lights have been turned off. I have to go bad, but it is pitch black. The only light is coming from the exit sign across the room. I find my empty bottle of water from earlier underneath the table and use it to pee in. Next day, the sunlight shines bright through the church windows, waking us up. We leave the church and walk to a house a few blocks away. The house belongs to Grandma's friend, Miss Mary. She lives directly in front of the Biloxi Park, which has a full basketball court that Darius, Devon, and I love hooping at. We arrive at Miss Mary's house and knock on the door. She is home and has no damage to her house. Hey, Miss Mary, can I use your cell phone? Mom asks. Mom calls Devon's dad, who lives 30 minutes from Miss Mary's. Devon's dad arrives and takes us to our apartment in D'Iberville. When we pulled into the apartment complex, I noticed massive trees knocked over and stairways collapsed in some apartment buildings. Devon's dad drops us off and we walk to our apartment. Mom has the keys in her hand when we get to the door. We enter and find everything is perfectly in place how we left it. There is no sign of water damage anywhere. Everyone goes to their room and relaxes for a bit. Later in the day, we all were in the living room. We're going to grill the meat in the freezer and deep freeze tomorrow because with no electricity, the meat will rot quickly, Grandma says. When night comes around, I'm exhausted, so I go to sleep. I don't get much sleep because it is extremely hot in the crib, so I just keep tossing and turning. Finally, I head to the kitchen to see if I can find something cold in there. I pass the thermostat on the way to the kitchen and it reads 98 degrees. I found a bowl of ice sitting in the sink, so I grabbed a washcloth from the counter. I reached into the bowl and grabbed a handful of ice to put inside the washcloth. Then I take a few pieces of ice and toss them into my mouth. When I wake up the next day, I walk to the living room. Grandma and Mom are in the kitchen, seasoning the meat that were in both freezers. Do you need help with anything? I ask. Yes, go outside and gather a bunch of sticks for the grill, Grandma replies. I go outside to get the branches. It is bright and sunny, but I can smell rain in the air. I gather the last tree limbs and walk back to our patio. Grandma hand selects the best branches and puts them onto the grill. Mom comes outside with all the seasoned meats, lighter and lighter fluid. Grandma pours lighter fluid over the tree branches. Asia, can you get me a napkin? Grandma asks. Here you go, Asia says. Grandma twists the napkin, then she lights it and tosses it in the grill. Mom puts the chicken on the grill when it gets hot enough. After some time, the chicken is finished grilling. Asia sets the table and Grandma fixes everyone's plate, then we eat. The next day, Mom gets in touch with her sister, Tara. I spoke with your auntie today. She's going to get in contact with our family in Wichita to send us bus tickets, Mom says. 3 days later, our family in Wichita has bought us tickets. I want everyone to pack up their clothes because we're leaving tomorrow, Mom emphasizes. Chapter 3. 490 Windy Hill Road. Tuesday, April 11th, 2006. It is officially spring break. Mom has sent for us to visit. She is living in Smyrna, Georgia, and finishing up nursing school, so she has a good job for when school lets out. Darius, Devon, and I are attending school in Topeka, Kansas with Aunt Tara. Today we are leaving to go visit Mom. Aunt Tara is driving us to the bus station. Our last time seeing Mom was around my birthday back in December. When we board the bus, Devon sits and I take a seat next to Darius. 16 hours pass and we arrive in downtown Atlanta. For Grandma, Darius, Devon, and I, this is the first time stepping foot in Georgia. Mom is inside the bus station by the time we get our luggage. Angela, Grandma calls out, getting Mom's attention. Once we reunite, exchange hugs and kisses, Mom directs us out of the bus station. We walk to where Mom parked her car and put the luggage in the trunk. This is the longest we have spent apart from each other. I miss you all, says Mom, as she looks at each of her sons. I know Asia is spending time with her other grandma, but I'm glad to see everyone. It is a 20-minute drive to Smyrna from here. I live in this apartment complex called Hickory Lakes, Mom says. The following day, Devon and I went outside to explore the neighborhood. It was huge. We found 2 pools, 1 tennis court, 2 parks, and a huge pond in the neighborhood. The pools were not open yet, so Devon and I spent most of our time outside at the second park. It was the park directly outside of Mom's building, halfway up the hill. I'm going to show you all around Smyrna today, Mom says. Mom gives us a tour of the Smyrna Library. Then we head to the Smyrna Community Center, which has 2 basketball courts, ping pong table, and a gym upstairs where you can work out. When we leave there, the Rec, Mom takes us out to eat at a local spot called U.S. Cafe. It is Sunday, and we are leaving tomorrow. There's a roller rink right up the street called Sparkles. I want to take everyone skating later on, Mom says. 7 p.m. comes around, and we are driving to Sparkles. It has been almost a year since Devon, Darius, and I did any roller skating. When we lived in Biloxi, one day out of the weekend, the whole neighborhood would ride bikes, rollerblade, or ride razor scooters. Since we started school in Topeka, with it being really hilly, we did not think about doing much of those activities. We have been at Sparkles for 3 hours. Darius is playing at the mini arcade since they did not have skates his size. Divine and I enjoy skating. Grandma and Mom are eating at the concession stand. At 11 p.m., everyone prepares to leave. During the car ride back to Hickory Lakes, I told Mom when school is over in May that I want to come back to Sparkles. Me too, Devon chimes in. Sunday is here. Devon and I are bringing everyone's suitcases down to Mom's car. When I finish with the luggage, Devon and I sneak out to the park one last time. We all get into Mom's car and head downtown to the bus station. We arrive and have another 25 minutes until our bus departs. I notice a mini arcade that has about 5 different games in the back of the bus station. Let's see what games they have, Mom says. Darius hops on the driving game as soon as we get there. Devon and I play a motorcycle game. 15 minutes go by and Grandma's calling Mom to let her know that the other passengers are lining up to board the bus. We walk back to meet Grandma, who has all the luggage. Here goes everyone's bag, Grandma says. Mom gives us hugs and kisses before saying goodbye. Darius, Devine, and I get in line. Grandma and Mom talk briefly. Then Grandma walks back over to us. We board the bus, but it does not pull off immediately. This bus is headed to Kansas City. The trip is going to be 16 hours, the bus driver concludes. We board the bus, but it does not pull off immediately. This bus is headed to Kansas City. The trip is going to be 16 hours, the bus driver concludes. Chapter 4, Campbell High School. August 13th, 2010. Mom, Darius, Devon, Asia, and I are living on the second floor of an apartment complex called Concord Crossings. Our last 2 neighbors who lived above us on the 3rd floor were very noisy with sounds of running or stumping. I cannot stand living here for another year with all that ruckus upstairs. I will figure out if we can get relocated to a bigger apartment and one on the 3rd floor. Either that or we are going to move in a few months when the lease is up, Mom shares with the family one night at dinner. September is here and I do not know for certain where we are moving next month. Mom is a nurse at a children's pediatrics about an hour away from Smyrna with traffic every day. I'm beginning my freshman year at Campbell High School. Devon is entering 6th grade at Griffin Middle School. Asia is 4 hours away in Savannah attending college. Darius is attending community college in Marietta and working. High school freshman kidnapping is a tradition that takes place during the first week of high school. It's where 2 seniors kidnap freshmen from their house before school. The seniors will dress you in funny old or worn clothes that you have to wear all day at school. 2 seniors want to kidnap me, but Mom tells me since we are moving, it will not be the best time to do it. Mom works in an office that is closed on the weekends. That is usually when she looks for potential new apartments and houses for the family. It is October 1st. Darius, Devon, and I are loading our belongings into the U-Haul truck. Do you know the name of the spot we are moving to? Darius asked me midway through the move. I have no clue. I thought you knew, I responded. We both shrug our shoulders in confusion and continue loading the U-Haul truck. This is the last of our belongings. I'm going to lock up so we can find out where we are going from here, little bro, Darius explains. We drive for a short distance in the U-Haul truck to a storage unit facility. Mom and the security guard speak briefly, then the gate begins to slowly open, allowing us access. Boys, You can start unloading the U-Haul truck, but set aside your clothes, Mom interjects. An hour later, we load the last sofa into the storage unit. Mom turns to me and asks, "Do you think Joseph's mom will let you stay at her place for a couple of weeks?" I'm taken by surprise for a moment, but I play it cool instead of questioning Mom about why I need to go to Joseph's house. Mom hands me her cell phone and I dial Joseph's number. Joseph is the only person I have built a strong relationship with since I moved to Smyrna. We created a trash business in Hickory Lakes back in 2007. The trash business lasted 6 months, and the only reason we stopped was because a client gave us trash that was full of bugs. The conversation didn't even last 2 minutes. I hung up and let Mom know that Joseph gave me the okay to stay with him. When I hand Mom her cell phone back, I asked, "Where are you, Devon, and Darius going to go?" "We're going to stay with a co-worker from the office. She lives in Austell," Mom says. Before we leave the storage facility, Mom double-checks the U-Haul truck to make sure everyone has what they need for the next few weeks. Then Mom shuts and locks the storage unit. We finally leave and are heading to the U-Haul to drop off the truck. After a short drive down South Cobb Drive, we're at U-Haul. Darius, Devon, and I grab our clothes from the back of the truck and put it in the trunk of Mom's car. Mom returns to the car after 10 minutes. Hickory Lakes is less than a mile away from U-Haul. We make one left turn, then a right, and we are at Joseph's apartment. It is the third week that I have been staying at Joseph's. His house is usually where I spent a lot of time, even when I still had my own crib to go back to. Mom drops me off in Hickory Lakes at Joseph's crib after my basketball game. I knock 4 times when it is late, so he knows that it is me. "What's good, Brody? How many points did you put up tonight?" Joseph inquires. "I scored 13 points and a couple of assists," I reply. "Good stuff, my boy. I was on the phone with this girl, so I'm going to get back to her," Joseph says and sits on the couch in the living room. I walk to Joseph's room because that is where I stay, since he chose to sleep on the sofa and give up his room almost a month ago. Even though it has not been that long, I'm quite adjusted and comfortable being here. The only lingering thought that frequently went through my head is my family and how they are doing. Thursday night, I am walking from Campbell High School to Hickory Lakes. I knock 4 times like I always have when I get to Joseph's door. I wait a few minutes and no one comes to the door. It never takes anyone this long, I thought. I take out my cell phone to call Joseph and the time shows 9:55 p.m. on my iPhone. "What's up, bro? I'm talking to Moms," Joseph says. "What's good? I'm at the door," I reply. "Here I come. My bad, dude," Joseph expresses. When I walk in the living room, Joseph's mom, Miss April, is sitting there with a sheet of paper in her hand. Usually Miss April sleeps around 10 p.m. since she leaves early in the morning for work. Joseph takes a seat in the chair next to the computer but does not get on the house phone. Miss April made known Smyrna is tearing down Hickory Lakes and have given all the residents a 45-day notice to move, despite me re-signing my lease just a week ago. I wanted to let everyone know before I went to work tomorrow. I'm going to bed now. Joseph and I look at each other in disbelief, not knowing what to say or how to feel about this one. Joseph breaks the silence. "None of this is making any sense, bro. I'm going to start packing my clothes tonight," Joseph voices. "This one definitely takes me by surprise. I will crash on the couch tonight," I reply. The next evening, after basketball practice, Joseph is chilling in the living room on the phone. "My mom told me to tell you that she spoke with your mom, and she will come pick you up tomorrow," Joseph reports. That night, I got all of my clothes folded neatly in my duffel bag. Saturday afternoon, my cell phone begins to ring on the dresser. I check and it is Mom calling. "Hey Marko, I'm outside in the car," Mom conveys. When I get off the phone with Mom, I go knock on Miss April's bedroom door. "Thank you for opening your home up to me," I express. "Of course, DeMarko. You are a good kid," Miss April replies. As I'm walking through the living room with my duffel bags, I see Joseph. "I will take those bags for you, bro," he communicates. "It is crazy that Smyrna is shutting down Hickory Lakes," I say to Joseph as we were walking to the car. "I never thought the day would come that I had to move from here, especially on these terms," Joseph comes out with. After he put my duffel bag in Mom's car, I dapped Joseph up. I opened the car door and got on the passenger side. Mom's turns left out of Hickory Lakes to get on Windy Hill Road, and we head down South Cobb Drive. That day when I left Hickory Lakes was the last time I set foot inside the gates before the demolition. Chapter 5. Ballless Life. Mom and I are driving in the car with the radio on. I have no clue where we are going. Usually Mom talks when we are riding in the car, but today she did not have much to say. After 15 minutes, Mom turns into a hotel parking lot, finds a parking spot, and cuts the engine off. I'm looking out of the window, observing the scenario. I'm confused, but I do not ask Mom anything. I grab my duffel bag out of the trunk and I follow Mom up the stairs. When we get to the hotel door, Mom unlocks the door and we walk in. All the confusion I had in the car begins to fade away. I have been at Joseph's crib since moving from Concord Crossings. With school, basketball practices, and basketball games going on, I had not gotten all the details on Darius, Devon, and Mom's new living situation before leaving Hickory Lakes. I put my duffel bag in a corner near the back of the room. Darius and Devon are watching Miami Heat versus Los Angeles Lakers on TNT. "What's up, bro?" Darius and Devon say as I pull a chair up to the TV. Mom is preparing dinner a few feet away from where we are watching the NBA game. I have so many questions going through my mind. I keep quiet and go through the motions as if I had been living there forever. "Hey boys, come get your plates off the counter," Mom announces. Everyone gets their food and sits back down. Normally, Mom does not like having electronics or TVs on while we eat dinner. Tonight, Mom takes a seat and watches the basketball game with us. It sucks witnessing Mom being so stressed by life, especially how hard she works. The thought of a hotel being our home, it got to me more and more. I could have never imagined my family in this predicament. I finish eating and toss my paper plate in the trash can. Then I take out some clothes from my duffel bag to sleep in. I walk to the bathroom, place my clothes on the counter, and close the door behind me. Before I turn the shower on, I put my hands palm down on the sink, look into the mirror, and observe myself. The tears I had been holding back since I walked through the door finally fall from my eyes. I turn the shower on and hop in. When I put my head under the water, I began reminiscing about the years when I shared a room with Devon and or Darius. I thought about how that used to feel like the worst thing in the world. I'm understanding that, though, my circumstances in the past were not my personal preference. They are not nowhere near what I'm facing now. I hop out of the shower and put on clothes to sleep in. I open the bathroom door and everyone is already laying down. I walk past Darius' sleeping pallet to get to my twin-size air mattress. It needs more air, so I take a moment to inflate it. After I grab my covers, I lay down and get some rest. 2 months later, today is game day and the 6th game of the season. We are still living in one room at a hotel, and it is starting to take its toll. School is in the spring semester, and Mom is contemplating whether we should move to Wichita or stay in Smyrna. Good luck on your game tonight, Mom utters as she drops me off at Campbell High School. Thanks, Mom, I reply. After my game, Mom returns to school to meet me at 10:30 p.m. How did your game go? Mom asks. We lost by 8 against Pebblebrook High School, I reply. Okay, how many points did you score? Mom questions. I reply, I scored 14 points tonight. Good job. You and your teammates will figure it out so you all can win more games. You guys still have a lot more of the season left to play, she responds. Saturday comes around. Mom, Devon, and I are out eating lunch. While we are eating, Mom receives a call. That was from a leasing consultant from an apartment complex down the street. Mom repeats when she gets off the phone. The waiter comes to our table. Mom asks for to-go boxes and leaves the money on the table. When we pull in, I notice a sign that says the apartment complex only has 1 and 2 bedrooms. I think that this place is not a good fit because we left Concord Crossings with the mindset of getting a bigger house. Mom parks in front of the leasing office, and the leasing consultant is outside in a golf cart. Hey, I want you to follow me to the building so you can check out the apartment, the leasing agent states. Mom follows the golf cart to the apartment building. Come on, Devon and Marko, let's see how the apartment looks, Mom suggests as she gets out of the car. Go ahead, Devon, I'm going to wait in the car, I reply. Devon opens his door and walks up the steps of the building. As everyone disappears into the building, I think to myself, I cannot see Mom settle. It's tough living in temporary discomfort at a hotel, so the idea of living that way in an apartment did not sit well with me. After 10 minutes, Devon and Mom walk out of the front door. Devon gets to the car before Mom since she is talking to the leasing consultant. How did the apartment look inside? I ask. It is smaller than our old apartment in Concord Crossings. I do not know about this place. Mom seems to like it though, Devon says. It is reassuring to hear that. Had that feeling when we initially turned into this apartment complex, I replied. Mom gets back to the car and we leave the neighborhood. Why didn't you want to check out the apartment? Mom asks. No reason at all, I answer. Well, the leasing consultant is extremely nice. The apartment is a bit small, but I like it, Mom mentions. All I have to do before moving in is to get a money order for the first month rent and bring it to the leasing office, she adds. Could we stop at a store to get something to drink? Devon asks. Mom pulls up to Food Depot, a grocery store on South Cobb Drive. While we are in the store, Mom is mentioning to me about a house she found online that has her really interested. Have you reached out to the owners? I questioned. Yes, I called several times last week and left voicemails, but no one has returned my call, Mom replies. Where is the house? Devon asks. It is on Windy Hill Road near Campbell High School. The address is 950 Cherokee Trail, Southeast. It is a bummer that the owners never got back with me, Mom says. We walk to checkout, and Mom remembers that she needs to get a money order. Before you get the money order, could we drop by the house to see if anyone is there? I request. Yes. My bank is near the house. I can stop there after to get the money order, Mom replies. Chapter 6. 950 Cherokee Trail, Southeast. May 20th, 2012. My sophomore year is coming to an end. I'm walking home from Kimmel High School since my house is 7 minutes away. Also, I'm texting my dad about which day I'll be leaving to visit him. 3 weeks later, Mom is driving me to Hartsfield International Airport. I am flying to Wichita to see my Mexican side of the family. I've been in Wichita for a couple of days. I'm at home, working out in the basement. I sometimes go to the YMCA to work out so I can keep myself in shape for the upcoming basketball season this fall. I'm outside doing my basketball dribbling drills and putting up 500 shots at the home basketball court. Dad pulls up from work while I'm shooting outside. "What is that brace you're wearing, son?" Dad asks. "I have been battling a jammed thumb since the middle of last season." "I see." "I'm going to set you a doctor's appointment tomorrow," Dad asserts. The next day, Dad and I are at my doctor's appointment. We are in the waiting area. 3 patients call to see the doctor before the medical assistant comes from behind the door with a clipboard and calls for me. "Could you take your shoes off and step onto the scale so I can get your height and weight?" the nurse asks. After the nurse writes down the numbers, I put my shoes back on. Dad and I followed the nurse to a room where the doctor would do the examination. The doctor enters the room and introduces himself to Dad and I. "So, DeMarko, what seems to be going on with your thumb?" the doctor asks. My thumb aches tremendously, and at this point, it is extremely difficult to twist doorknobs or firmly grip and hold on to anything that weighs a few pounds, I responded. "Okay. Can you tell me when you injured your left thumb?" the doctor inquires. I start to think about last year's basketball season. It was 3 months ago, and I needed my teammates Miles or DeAndre to pull my jammed thumb during every other game. However, the day my injury actually occurred did not come to me. I cannot recall. It has been quite some time that my left thumb has been giving me pain, I guesstimated. Approximately 4 months ago, when I heard it initially, I responded. "Why did you wait so long to come and pay a visit?" the doctor investigates. "For 2 months, I wore a thumb splint that my mom got me. I iced it when I was not in basketball practice or playing a game. My mom is a nurse, and since the bone was not sticking out, it was not a rush to go to the doctor," I reply. "I'll be right back. I have to go to the next room and grab something. Excuse me," the doctor communicates. Dad and I waited for about 10 minutes. Then the doctor re-enters the room. "DeMarko, can you take a seat at the end of the medical bed?" the doctor instructs. "What is the name of the instrument in your hand?" Dad asks. "A hand dynamometer, and it is used for measuring force and power of the hand. I use this instrument to perform a grip test," the doctor replies. "Okay, I understand," Dad says. "Can you take your right hand and squeeze the hand dynamometer, DeMarko?" the doctor declares. I lift my right hand and place it firmly onto the hand dynamometer. "Ready? Squeeze. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax," the doctor informs. A few seconds later, the results from the hand dynamometer are in. All the levels appear to be healthy with your right hand based on my chart. "Let's repeat the grip test with your left hand," he says. Before I move a muscle, I begin thinking about how painful this one is going to be. The grip test with my right hand was not a challenge, but the test was going to be much more difficult with my left hand. I lift my left hand and again grip tightly to the hand dynamometer. "Ready? Squeeze. Squeeze. Squeeze," the doctor indicates. In my mind, I'm thinking, why has he not started the countdown? "Relax. Are you squeezing?" the doctor asks. "Yes." "Let me readjust my grip before we start again," I respond. "Okay. Ready. Squeeze. Squeeze. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax," the doctor voices. He writes my results on the papers on his clipboard. The doctor waits a short moment, this time after the grip test, before he says a word. I notice the doctor's facial expression is a lot different from when he took the results of my right hand. Based on the performance of DeMarko's demonstration on the left hand grip test, his left hand is exceedingly weak, and the strength results based on my chart is of a 13-year-old girl at the moment, which does not make much sense to me because DeMarko's results from his right hand based on my chart is a 33-year-old man. Will you all have time to get DeMarko an MRI on that left hand before you guys leave today? I'm curious to see what is going on in there, the doctor states. We have time today, Doc, Dad reveals. Dad and I walk out of the doctor's office and down the hallway where we sit in a different waiting area. DeMarko, could you go into this patient room and change your clothes? There will be another set of clothes in the room for you, the nurse says. After I change, I am directed to another room where the MRIs are done. I notice a huge glass window behind me where 3 doctors were sitting with computers. As I'm getting closer to the MRI scanner, I realize, unlike most patient rooms that have some type of decor, this room did not. It is all white. I lay down on the MRI bed. The nurse gives me a pair of earplugs. Then she exits the room. The MRI scanner turns on, and I quickly understand why the nurse just handed me earplugs. The MRI scan concludes after 35 minutes, and the bed slides out of the scanner. DeMarko, you can change back into your clothes. We have everything we need. You can leave the clothes you have on now in the patient room. We will be in touch, the nurse hints. Chapter 7. Dreams. My junior year of high school starts in less than 5 weeks. Yet I find myself back at the doctor's office waiting for my MRI results. As I sit next to Dad, I think about 16 years of basketball and how this is the first injury to really set me back. DeMarko, you and your dad can follow me. The doctor will see you shortly to go over your MRI results, the nurse informs us. The doctor enters the room with papers in his hand. He directs his attention towards us. How bad is it, Doc? Dad asks. Your son has done quite a job on his left thumb. It is a work of art, the doctor replies, meaning the words more seriously than they sounded. DeMarko, you have completely ruptured your ulnar collateral ligament, and it gets worse. The radial collateral ligament is hardly attached to your bone. I may add, DeMarko, in order for your left thumb to regain full mobility and strength in holding and gripping objects, immediate surgery is going to be required before any more damage is done, the doctor says. Is this option my only choice, I ask? No. Your second option is that I get you into a cast today before you leave. I will have you wear a cast for 6 to 8 weeks. However, there is a high possibility that we will be right here if the ligament doesn't fully reattach. I am sure this is not the news you are hoping for today. The doctor waits patiently as the information sinks in. I have so many thoughts going through my mind. How am I going to be able to report to varsity preseason workouts when I need surgery? How will I be able to get a cast off in 6 to 8 weeks when I'm flying back to Smyrna in 10 days? Most of the JV season, I've been aware that something was wrong with my left thumb. I never thought it would be to this extent, however. For a moment, I wanted to just walk out of the room and be on my way. I do not know if I will have enough time to have surgery and still be ready for the season, I reply. D, 1 second. So, Doc, what are the ulnar and collateral ligaments? Dad asks. They are strong bands of tissue that are attached to the thumb's middle joint. The ulnar and radial keeps the thumb stable and assists the hand with grabbing and pinching objects. Right now, DeMarko has neither one of those ligaments functioning properly in the correct place, which explains the severe pain DeMarko has been feeling. I highly recommend that he undergo surgery, the doctor insists. How long is the recovery time after surgery? Dad inquires. DeMarko will be put in a temporary cast right after surgery that he will wear for 2 weeks. Then we will put the permanent cast on for DeMarko, which he will wear for 6 to 8 weeks. After the permanent cast gets removed, then physical therapy will be required for full strength recovery that can take up to a full calendar year, the doctor concludes. As each minute passed by, the news from the MRI results seemed to be worsening. I could not grasp the idea of having surgery at the end of July, especially since basketball season is right around the corner. With all the information I've heard today, the only logical option on the table is to go through with the surgery, D. Dad says after a moment's reflection. I look at Dad and nod my head in agreement. The doctor interjects. Great. Before you guys leave today, let's get the date set in stone for the surgery date. The doctor shakes Dad and I's hand. Then we exit the patient's room. Dad schedules the time and date for my surgery at the front desk. Then Dad and I are en route to the crib. Your surgery is in 3 days at 8 a.m. I will have your papa pick you up to take you. I have a business meeting that morning that I cannot get out of. Do not let this battle defeat you, D. You are a Reddins. This is a minor setback for a major comeback, Dad reassures me. You are right, Dad, but it just seems like I cannot stay healthy. I had a hairline fracture on my ankle last season that I had strengthened, so this just feels like the icing on the cake, I sighed. I understand, my son. This is part of the lifestyle of being an athlete, however. You will face trials and tribulations, but how you react to them is the defining moment, Dad counters. 3 days later, my cell phone is ringing in my bed. I roll over and answer it. Good day, D. Your granny and I are outside. When you're done getting dressed, come out so we can pick up breakfast before your appointment, Papa says. I will be there shortly, I responded. I go to the bathroom to wash my face, brush my teeth, and put deodorant on. And after I finish in the bathroom, I put a Nike t-shirt, shorts, and socks on. I slide in my Nike SBs and head for the door. I put the garage code in the keypad to close it. Then I get in the car with my grandparents. Hey, grandson, how are you feeling? Granny asks. I'm holding up. I'm not too pumped about having surgery, but this is my only choice at this point, I state. I feel your pain, grandson, Granny replies. My grandparents did not finish breakfast. We drive up the street to the surgery facility. What time is your surgery and your last name? Asked the front desk clerk. My surgery is scheduled for 8 a.m. and my last name is Reddins, I responded. You are at the doctor's first surgery today. The waiting room is down the hallway and to the right, the clerk directs. Granny, Papa, and I walk down the hallway and take a seat. DeMarko Reddins, the doctor is waiting for you, the nurse announces. I hug my grandparents, then I follow behind the nurse. There's a change of clothes for you behind this curtain. When you finish changing, come into this room. I will be there waiting for you, she explains. I change clothes, take a selfie in my surgery gown, and then a picture of my left thumb. I walk into the room across the hall and lay down on the medical bed. Hey, DeMarko, I want to talk to you about the surgery. It should take 45 minutes to repair both of your ligaments, the surgeon advises me. The surgeon leaves the room and another nurse enters. Do you want your left arm numbed or would you rather get put to sleep? The anesthesiologist asks. I prefer to get put to sleep. Okay, are you allergic to any medicine? Asked the anesthesiologist. I have no allergies, I responded. I will insert the IV into your wrist so I can get some fluids into your body, the anesthesiologist informed. The first attempt is really painful. The IV did not insert. I will have to try again, the anesthesiologist mentioned after the first failed attempt. Will the second attempt hurt as bad as the first one, I asked. No. This time the IV should assert, the anesthesiologist answered. The second attempt is a success. Perfect. The IV is inserted. Now I'm going to give you the anesthesia. The surgeon re-enters the room. Let's get DeMarko to the operating room, the surgeon says. When I get to the operating room, I see 4 other nurses there wearing blue surgical masks. Suddenly, the room becomes blurry and I find it difficult to keep my eyes open. An hour and a half later, I'm out of surgery and wrapped in blankets up to my neck. Papa and Granny are in the room. The surgery took longer than expected because both of the ligaments had detached from the bone. The MRI I had looked at before the surgery was showing something completely different, the surgeon says. What did you have to do differently? Papa asks. Well, the MRI showed the RCL was still attached, but after I cut the thumb open, it had detached. So instead of reattaching and sewing the ligaments back together, I had to take a wrist ligament and stretch it to the place where the RCL was, then put in a couple dissolvable staples there, the surgeon recounts. We need to get some fluids in you, DeMarko. What type of soda would you like? We have Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Sprite, Dr. Pepper, and 7-Up, the nurse proposes. I would take a Mountain Dew. That is my favorite, I answered. The anesthesia is still wearing off. I will bring you a Sprite, the nurse smiles. I'm going to bring the car around, Papa says. How are you going to get the car to fit inside the room, I ask. My grandparents started to laugh. I will be right back, D, Papa says. Here's your Sprite, DeMarko. The nurse raises the soda to my mouth, and every minute or so she asks for me to take a drink. Papa comes back from the car, and the nurse begins taking off the blankets that are on me. Chapter 8. Sideline Story. Today is the day I get my fiberglass cast taken off. I leave for Smyrna in 2 days. Before I go, I have to get my permanent cast put on. Dad is driving me to the doctor's office. When we arrive, I go through the regular checkup procedure. Dad and I do not wait long before a nurse calls for me. My doctor is in the room when we get there. How are you feeling, DeMarko? The doctor asks. The first night was the most painful, but I was hanging in there, I tell him. It is good to hear that you are not in too much pain right now. Well, the nurse should be here any minute to take that fiberglass cast off, the doctor says. Hey, DeMarko, let's get this temporary cast off you, the nurse states. I will see you guys. I just want to drop in and see how you're feeling after the procedure, the doctor communicates as he exits the room. The nurse begins unraveling the many layers of bandages. After unraveling all of the bandages, the nurse gets to the fiberglass brace that is protecting and stabilizing my fresh out of surgery thumb. The nurse slowly pulls down and away towards her body to remove the fiberglass brace. As my left hand becomes free, I notice that my hand is turning an orange tint. Why is my hand changing colors, I ask. It is a sterilizer gel the surgeon uses to shave you before the incision. Feel free to wash your hand before I put your permanent cast on, the nurse suggests. I turned the water on and put my hand underneath. I came to the realization that it was not the fiberglass brace causing my left thumb not to bend. I grab a washcloth to dry my hand, and as I do, dead skin begins to peel from my palm. When my hand is dry, I look at my thumb that has 16 stitches and think to myself, it looks like they literally cut my thumb in half. I take a seat back on the medical bed. The nurse pulls a tray of tools next to the stool that is directly in front of me. I'm going to cut the threads of your stitches now, the nurse made it known. I never thought I would be in this situation, so I had no clue about how this is going to feel. The nurse finishes and puts the scissors down. Then she picks up what looks like tweezers. The nurse pulls out the first stitch, and it is the weirdest feeling. All I could think of is that it's close to the feeling of taking floss and running it in between your fingernails. I am all finished. What color cast would you like? The nurse asked. Neon green, if you have that color, I answer. The nurse goes in a cabinet underneath the sink and takes out what looks like an ace bandage, but neon green. I'm going to wrap your thumb and wrist so that the cast will go up to the middle of your forearm, the nurse discloses. After the nurse finishes wrapping my thumb, she goes to the sink and fills a cup with water. I'm going to spread some water over the bandage to harden it, the nurse says. In less than a minute, the neon green bandage becomes brick hard. A few days later, Dad, my older brother Marko, and I are driving on the highway. We're en route to the airport. My flight to Smyrna is departing in an hour and 15 minutes. Dad, Marko, and I arrive at the airport. I will carry your bags, bro, Marko says. After crossing the parking lot, we went to the proper airline check-in station so I could drop my luggage off. It was a good vibe this summer hanging out here. Hit me when you land back in ATL. Love, bro, Marko expresses. I will, and love, bro, I responded. D, make sure you look out for your mom and your other siblings. You're the man in the house. And make sure you hold it down. Call me when you land. I love you, Dad voices. I love you too, I reply. I go through a security check and then I walk to my boarding gate. I wait 30 minutes before I board the plane. 2.5 hours later, the plane is landing in Atlanta. I receive a text from Mom letting me know that her and Devon are at baggage claim. I make my way through the huge airport, and after 20 minutes, I finally find Mom and Devon. Hey, Marko. I missed you, Mom says. I hug Devon and Mom, and then we walk to the right conveyor belt to get my luggage. The luggage did not come out on the conveyor belt right away, so we waited patiently. Does your hand still hurt? Devon asks. The pain is nowhere close to how I felt before the surgery. It is more stiff than anything right now, I answer. Does it itch? Devon questions. Not initially, but the last couple of days it has started to itch, I respond. While we continue to wait for my luggage, I start to think about how Mom feels about me having to get surgery. I know Mom had believed just as much as I did that my injury was not this bad. Are you going to play basketball this season, Marko? Devon asks. I'm sure that your brother does not want to discuss that at the moment. He has had a long flight, Mom interjects before I could give an answer. Mom is absolutely right. Besides the jet lag I am feeling, I did not have a definite answer. Devon's question is a friendly reminder of just how much work I had to put in before I could think of being on the court. How are you feeling? Mom asks. I'm restless from the flight and really hungry, I reply. I will cook when we get home, Mom replies. My Nike duffel bag comes around the conveyor belt. I grab it, Mom pops the trunk. I get in the car on the passenger side and buckle up. Mom puts the keys in the ignition, but pauses before she starts the car. I honestly did not think your energy was that serious, Marko, Mom acknowledges. Me either, I reply. It's a 40-minute drive from Hartsfield International Airport to Windy Hill Road. Mom pulls up the driveway, puts the car in park, and pulls the e-brake. I stare at our house, in deep thought wondering about how school is around the corner and I have to wear a cast for 6 more weeks. Instead of preparing for the season with my team, all I can do is be on the sideline until I get this cast off and get clear from physical therapy. I come back to the present moment, get out of the car, and take my luggage from out of the trunk. When I walk in my bedroom, I drop my bags onto the floor and hop on my bed. 15 minutes later, Darius knocks on the door. What's up, bro? What's up? It is crazy my little brother had to get surgery. Let me see your cast, he declares. I know, right? I could not believe it myself when I got my MRI results, I say as he looks over my cast. I'm here if you want to talk. I know this is tough and everything, especially with the season a few months away, Darius says. Thanks, big bro, I reply. 5 weeks later, Mom is driving me to the doctor's office where I'm getting my cast taken off. We arrive at the facility and walk through the entrance. The nurse walks up to us. Good afternoon. I hope you all are having a good day. Let's get that cast taken off. I'm sure you're ready to take this thing off, she says. The nurse grabs a cast cutting saw from off of the table. DeMarko, can you roll up your sleeve and extend your left arm out? The nurse asks. I reach out my left forearm and turn my eyes directly to the cast cutting saw in the nurse's hand. I'm going to remove your cast now, the nurse states. As the nurse inches the cast saw closer and closer to my left forearm, I start to get worried about how this is going to turn out. I look intensely until the nurse makes contact with the cast. The cast cracks open a little bit and the room begins to smell like spoiled milk. When the nurse finished cutting the cast off, I compare my left forearm to my right. My left forearm has lost so much body mass, I say to Mom as I'm holding out both forearms. I will get you a brace that you should wear 24/7 unless you are doing exercises from physical therapy, the nurse says. She goes to her closet to grab a brace from my hand. I do not think this medium size is going to fit. Let me go heat it to see if it will stretch the material for you, DeMarko, she says. The nurse returns. Is the medium the biggest size you have, I ask. Yes, and I think your hand is just too big for this medium. I'll have to send you to another location that is about 18 minutes from this one so you can get a custom brace made. I'm going to give them a call, the nurse says. It sucks that the brace did not fit, I say. The other office can see DeMarko in 40 minutes. We'll have to put half of the old cast back on because your hand needs to be protected, the nurse says. After the nurse finished wrapping my hand with an ace bandage to hold the cast together, she hands Mom the address to the other facility. Chapter 9. Crossroads. Mom and I greet the receptionist at the other facility with my last name, and I tell them we were sent from the other office. The area you are looking for is upstairs. This is where the physical therapy is conducted. When you go upstairs, make a left and you see another receptionist that can assist you. We walk upstairs and take a left like the woman instructed. Hey, Reddins? The other receptionist asks. Yes, I reply. We were expecting you. You can have a seat and the nurse specialist will be ready for you in a minute, she says. DeMarko and Mom, come on back, the nurse assistant says. Good afternoon. I apologize for your inconvenience. I was told you were having trouble trying to get a proper fitting brace, the physical therapist says. Correct. The biggest size at the other office could only fit half of my palm, I replied. I'm going to custom mold a brace for your thumb, so no worries about that, DeMarko. Can you take a seat on the stool while I go round up all of what I need? The physical therapist says. The physical therapist comes back with what looks like clay in her hands. She begins placing the clay around my thumb and wrist. It is very similar to how my cast looks, but it does not go up my forearm at all. Before you and Mom get out of here, I want to give you a breakdown on the next steps since you are out of your hard cast. Your physical therapy will start this week and is going to last for 9 weeks. You have 2 sessions a week downstairs. Once you start physical therapy, you need to perform the exercises 6 times a day to avoid stiffness, the physical therapist says. If I do the exercise outside of physical therapy like I'm supposed to, would that speed up my recovery time, I ask. Realistically, it would take 6 months at least for you to get to over a 50% range and your mobility back. As far as returning to the court in the next month, I just do not think it is going to be possible, the physical therapist replies. After my 7th physical therapy session, I go to see my doctor for an update on my progress. I hope you all are having a good day. Let me take a look at that thumb of yours, DeMarko, the doctor says. I began to think about how much strength and mobility I have gained since going to physical therapy. The doctor grabs a stool from the corner of the office. I proceed to take my thumb brace off. Then the doctor asks me to demonstrate a few range and mobility exercises that I usually do in physical therapy. Well, DeMarko, you are making great progress from what you have shown today. Your thumb has about 35% mobility back, but it is still extremely stiff. Let's see how you're looking in a week, the doctor says. On our way home, I began thinking about this is my 4th visit, and each time the doctor has given me the same amount of information regarding when I will be cleared. I feel no closer to getting clearance to go to tryouts next week. The thought of that and also seeing mom have to miss so much work for the same news week in and week out is frustrating. My schoolwork is starting to pile up in my first and second block classes because that is when I go to physical therapy. Everything at this moment seems to not be going in my favor. As mom and I ride in the car to Campbell High School, it is the second day of varsity tryouts. Yesterday, we spent most of our time outside running 3 miles, running stairs and doing calisthenics. I just walked in the Will's gym and put my book bag on the bench. I take my basketball shoes and my custom thumb brace out of my bag. I lace my LeBrons up, secure my thumb brace, and then I run onto the court. The next day at school, before I headed to the cafeteria for breakfast, I stopped by Coach Gwynn's classroom. I checked the varsity list to see if my name is on the list, and it is. It's the final day for varsity tryouts. I feel confident that I'm going to make the team, without knowing if my doctor will clear me weighs heavily on my mind. Mom takes me to physical therapy the next morning. I have a doctor's appointment afterwards, and today will be a huge day if I can get my doctor's clearance. When I finish up with my physical therapist, Mom and I walk upstairs to see my doctor. Hey, DeMarko, your thumb and wrist are progressing tremendously. A lot of your mobility is coming back. Let's see how you're doing in 2 weeks, the doctor says. Mom drops me off at school and heads to work. I check in after attending the office, then I walk to Coach Gwynn's room to check the final cut list for the varsity team. After a long walk, I'm finally looking at the varsity list. There are 12 names in total. None of them are mine. I triple check the list and nothing changes. So I head to my first block class, which is world history. I give Ms. Airwood my excuse note from the attendance office and take a seat at my desk. I'm having trouble staying focused. I'm supposed to be taking notes that are on the projector. The feeling that basketball is being taken away from me is beginning to settle in. Even with putting blood, sweat, and tears into this game. Even so, I set the goals for what I would strive to accomplish through playing this game. I realized at this moment that life does not have any problem with destroying your cherished dreams. The unknown for what is next for me is at an all-time high. I have dedicated and sacrificed so much for the sport of basketball. But after 10 years of organized basketball, I found myself at the age of 16 coming to the crossroads of life without basketball. Chapter 10. Accountability. A couple of weeks have passed by, and I am dealing with not being on the court. It is different having so much downtime on my hands to think about life in ways I have never. I am accustomed to having basketball practices from Monday through Friday and on Saturday, some weekends. Going from being busy to everything coming to a dead halt is a new feeling for me. I begin to question things that I have always been certain about. One Friday, I come home from school. I put my book bag inside my closet and turn the TV on SportsCenter. I go into the kitchen and make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. After I finish eating, I prop my feet up onto my dresser and continue watching ESPN. This has become my after-school routine nowadays. I look around my room at all my basketball team pictures and trophies. I begin thinking, I know I have more than one talent, and it has to have a deeper meaning to all of this. What else am I passionate about? I thought. I did not have any idea of anything else. Basketball is everything to me. and it is the lane that I had always believed was paved for me. Then, in the middle of watching Miami Heat highlights, I had the strangest idea come to mind. My thought is to write a book. I had never been the kind of individual to own a journal. When I was in middle school, literature always came easy to me, even though it was far from my favorite subject to study. Even so, I would write down quotes and thoughts that came to me from time to time. I kept all my ideas and new information in my BlackBerry. Connecting those dots are all I needed at this moment to pursue the journey of becoming a writer. I did not know anyone at 16 attempting to write a book, since the majority of my peers are athletes. Regardless of having no one to turn to for help, I knew that if I put my mind to writing a book, that I could achieve it. So while still in front of the TV, I sit up in my chair, I take out my iPhone, open the Notes app, and begin writing. 20 minutes later, I get a knock on the door. My friend Malik is over at my crib. Joseph introduced Malik and I in 2007. We were all living in Hickory Lakes. Do you want to walk to the soccer field across the street from Campbell High School? I asked. Yeah, let's do it. I'm not trying to sit in the crib today anyway, Malik responds. When we get there, we sit down on the benches. I've been thinking about writing and publishing a book before I graduate, I said to him. Man, you're not going to write a damn book, Malik says. I'm serious. I've been working on it already, I reply. Really, dog? That would be cool if you wrote a book. Most people do not think to do stuff like that until they are in their 40s. You're going to be a young Arthur. Do that shit, dog, Malik says. I have to do something out of the box now. That basketball is not going to be the way, I say. Honestly, I've been thinking about learning how to DJ, Malik says. Do it, I emphasize. A week has passed since I initially had a thought to write a book. I have typed 7 pages in my Notes app on my iPhone so far. I met Malik at the Smyrna Community Center after school. I went to read what I have written, I say as soon as I sit down. As Malik is reading, I'm getting some shots up in the gym. I am nervous about the feedback Malik is going to give me. It has been some years since I have felt this feeling. I was always confident in my abilities on the court. 10 minutes went by, and Malik walked on the court to give me my iPhone back. He is shaking his head. What do you think about it? I asked. This book is crazy. Everything you write is what I think about on the daily. I almost shed a tear reading your writing. If I connect with it this strong, I am certain others will too. You have to keep writing, dog, Malik says. I appreciate it. Let's play one-on-one before I head to the crib, I reply. You got lucky, dog. I won my rematch this week, Malik says. That's shenanigans, I reply. On my way home, I began thinking about the feedback Malik gave me. After our conversation that day at the Smyrna Community Center, I do not do anything when school ends every day but write at the crib. Besides the 2 conversations Malik and I had, no one else in my life knew about the idea of me wanting to write and publish a book. One day, I am listening to music and writing in my room. My music is loud, so I do not hear Mom come home from work. My bedroom has 2 doors, and Mom enters from the door that is facing my back. Mom taps me on the shoulders. Hey Marko, what are you working on? Mom asks. It is an essay for literature class, I mentioned. I closed my laptop before Mom could ask me more about it. I would usually share what I have going on with my mom and dad. I always played basketball. There was always a lot going on with physical therapy, frequent doctor visits, and not feeling like I have any control in the situation. I do not want anyone's thoughts or feelings about my next move, even though Mom would have been more than supportive. Chapter 11. A Journey Deferred. Months come and go, and the pages continue to pile up. I'm 80 pages in, and I have not shared anything with Malik since the first 10 pages. It is New Year's Eve, 2013. I finished writing and began editing. I called Malik and he answered. I'm going to start writing, I say. What do you mean you're done writing? Malik asks. I am now in the editing phase of what I've written, I reply. Okay, it is about that time. You'll be graduating in 5 months. When you started out, your goal was to publish this book before you graduated. You got it, dog, Malik says. I began talking to book publishers in March. By the second week of March, I pick a publishing company and start the publication process. I am informed that the entire process will take up to 5 months. The first step is designing my front cover, and the time frame is 100 days. The book designer reached out and I expressed to her that I'm graduating high school in 2 months. We end up getting my front cover design in a week, and the next step is going through another round of editing with an editor from the publisher. But I have an essay to write for my senior project, and also I have to apply to a college. I have yet to start either one, and I'm running out of time. The editor only does a handful of edits by the time the publisher sends my manuscript back. I approve the final edit, email it back to the editor so my manuscript can go to production for printing. I never opened the attachment my editor sent over, however. The second week of April, the publisher is mailing me back the first copy of my book. Malik is at my crib when we were playing COD Black Ops on Xbox 360. The doorbell rang, so I paused the game to see who was at the front door. It is the USPS delivery man, and the package needs my signature before I can take it. I walk back to my room and open the package. It is my book, Accountability. I am looking at 2 years of my thoughts in a book. I could not think of anyone that could have seen this coming. A year and a half ago, basketball was life. I passed accountability to Malik. I cannot believe it, Malik says. I can believe it, I reply humorously. You outdid yourself on this one, dog, Malik yells. I have been thinking about having a book release party, I say to him. I'm ready to DJ my first party. What venue are you thinking about renting? Malik asks. I want to have it at the White House on Atlanta Road because the place is big enough and is in Smyrna. The people that come will not need to drive far. The White House is a perfect location. I will call this week so we can schedule a meeting to see the venue and find out about availability, Malik says. The next day, Malik and I call a venue planner. I let Malik know that the venue planner says she will be available at 1 p.m. today. I let her know I would be stopping by to view the spaces, and then I hung up on the phone. Malik and I began walking from my house off of Windy Hill Road to Atlanta Road. 45 minutes later, we walk through the front doors and take a seat in the front office at the White House venue. The event planner, Malik, and I talk for 15 minutes to exchange the details of the event. Then we get a tour of the first space. It consists of a hallway with 3 offices and 1 kitchen area. I do not like this space, so we move on to the next one. The second option is a room full of chairs, a projection screen on the wall, and an area for the DJ equipment. This is the one, I emphasize. Malik nodded his head in agreement. After paying the deposit to reserve the space, we leave the White House venue and depart ways for the day. Let's link up tomorrow so we can go over the themes for the party, Malik says. The following day, I found a wholesaler on event flyers. I placed an order for 1,000 flyers. 1 week later, the flyers come in and I took 500 to pass out. I passed the other half off to Malik. He would hand them out at Morehouse, Clark Atlanta University, and Cumberland Mall while I'm at school. April 17, 2014, I released my book on all ebook platforms as well as a soft cover. 2 days later, it is the day of my book release party. Malik and I arrive at the White House 2.5 hours before we set up. At 9 o'clock, the doors open and people begin to fill the room. Out of 1,000 flyers, roughly 250 people showed up. I ended up selling a good amount of my copies of Accountability. Malik got to DJ his first event. Everything I had gone through up until this moment was showing how life comes full circle, 360 degrees.
The end.